fluffy of the world, it's me, Queen Nightmare, and I am going to do a Sirius x Remus story. I just found this yesterday. I didn't do anything yesterday except do a lot of diamond art and rested. I don't know why, but I've been tired for a little while. Really weird. This one is called Remus x Sirius by Sebia. I'm thinking it's Sebastian and CL together. Sebia CL Fangirl 11. Okay, chapter 1. Remus x Sirius. Remus! Moaned as Remus bit his neck. Gosh, I keep on having these thoughts about Remus lately, wandering Sirius, who was sitting outside near the Black Lake. He sighed and stood up, shaking his head when walking back to the Hogwarts castle. Wait, where was I? He pottered back to the Gryffindor dormitory and took a sit down onto the couch, resting his head in his hands. He had got so many detentions this week for daydreaming about Remus. What was wrong with him? Taking a deep breath, he calmed down a little bit. The more he thought about Remus, the more he could not seem to breathe properly. Remus walked down the stairs. "Hello?" Remus whispered to Sirius. "Sirius? Hey, what is the matter? You seem shocked and flustered." Sirius's eyes widened. Widened. Remus had noticed. He gulped and forced a smile. I am fine, Moody." Remus rested a hand onto Sirius's forehead, and Sirius's breath quickened. He couldn't help but get flustered a ton when Remus touched him. Remus sighed and looked lovingly into his eyes. "You are not okay," Remus stated when he sat down next to Remus and leaned his head down softly onto his shoulder. Sirius pondered. "Gosh, this boy is too cute. I can't take it seriously." Sirius patted his hair softly, and his hand shook as he did. It was like a pack of ice that had been dropped down onto it. A lot of weird English here. Sirius didn't know what was with him and this boy, but he needed to try and stop this from happening to him. But how? Chapter 2. Sirius woke up, rubbing his eyes and yawning softly. He got out of bed, then looked into the mirror, combing his hair. He mumbled to himself, "Gosh, I am so ugly." He put down the brush onto the dusty nightstand, then put on his clothes. Walking to the bathroom, he then brushed his teeth, then walked to the hall. Yikes. Okay. He sat down onto the cracked bench and ate some breakfast. Remus limped down through the hall, looking very run down, and sat next to Sirius, but did not eat any food. Sirius's eyes worried. "Was it full moon again last night?" Remus nodded a little, and the fresh cuts were covering him. Sirius took Remus's hand, then took him to his room and sat Remus down onto the bed. Taking his trousers off, he looked at Remus's legs, seeing a large bruise with a dark red cut around it. Sirius blushed slightly as he saw Remus's pants Remus's pants, but just ignored it and grabbed an ice pack, putting it onto the bruise. Remus winced softly as Sirius carefully put a bandage around his leg, then putting back on his trousers. Remus asked, "Why do you do all of this for me when I'm a monster?" Sirius smiled, holding Remus's hand. "Because I care about you." Remus softly smiled and fell into Sirius's arms, passing out. Remus chuckled softly and wrapped his arms around his waist. Sirius looked at his plump lips, imagining the kiss on his. He growled lowly, wondering why he kept on imagining these things again and again. Sirius said, "Sorry, Moony. I need to go." Sirius put Remus onto the bed, then left the room, taking one last look at him before leaving. An ad is playing. What in the world? Okay. What the That's cute. Okay, get me out of here. Whew. Okay, chapter 3. Sirius was outside, and the silver-gray full moon glimmered above me. He sat down onto the lush green grass and gazed up at the sparkling stars above him. Suddenly, Sirius heard a growl and scratches pawing at the ground, and then something pounced down on him, pinning him roughly down onto the floor. Making a loud thump, Sirius looked up. He saw a brown werewolf. It was Remus. Sirius begged, "Moony, please don't hurt me." Remus pinned his claws into Sirius's cheeks, then whined and turned back to his normal form. As the fiery sun rose, Remus stroked his cheek. "Sorry, Sirius." Remus held him to his chest and sighed, petting his hair. Sirius panted heavily in shock and now in embarrassment. From what Remus was doing, I listened to Remus' very slow heartbeat, then brought my head up and gulped. Remus chuckled softly and patted his head. "Do you love me?" Chapter 4. Sirius gasped and didn't answer Remus's question, then ran out of the room and outside. Wait, I thought they were outside. What? Wait a minute. Oh my gosh. Okay, never mind. Breathing heavily and ran his fingers through his hair. Gosh, did Remus just ask him that? Remus appeared behind him and wrapped his arms around his neck. Sirius closed his eyes and whispered, "Remus, please." Remus pulled away and sighed, then slowly walked away. Sirius took a quick look at him, then looked away. Sirius couldn't be gay. It was just wrong. Sirius just had to keep it inside his heart, even if he did find a girl. Remus drew a love heart on a tree and palmed it, tears running in his eyes. Then he walked to the black lake and jumped in. Coldness ran through his body, and he closed his eyes tight as he held his breath longer and longer. Chapter 5. Sirius ran over to the lake and saw Remus going deeper and deeper into the water. He was unconscious. Sirius jumped into the lake. He felt coldness fly through the skin and grabbed Remus's numb arm and pulled both of them out of the lake. Remus panted heavily and shook him, and then put his lips over Remus's lips and started to breathe heavily into his mouth. Remus gasped and opened his eyes, his breath very rapid. Sirius pulled away from his lips, then wrapped both of them with a blue sky blanket. Remus snuggled in the blanket, then curled up next to Remus and fell asleep. Sirius smiled slightly and intertwined his hand into Remus's. Chapter 6. James walked up to Sirius and Remus, his eyes widening when he saw them both drenched. James quickly picked them up and ran faster than a terrified deer to Madame Pomfrey. Then Sirius and Remus were taken to the infirmary. A couple of days later, the two boys woke up. They gazed into each other's eyes, the past events running through their minds. Remus looked away, and when Sirius, his heart aching, making Remus grip onto his shirt. He wanted Sirius to love him so badly, yet he knew it would never happen, not in a lifetime. Sirius looked at the other male with teary eyes, his question, "Do you love me?" going through his mind. "Moony, do you remember your question?" Sirius asked tentatively. "Yes, I do, and I remember your answer," Remus replied, his voice breaking slightly in a wave of emotion that flowed from his heart. "How do you remember an answer when I never gave you one?" Moving on, Sirius sat up and wrapped himself up in a fluffy blanket. "My answer, Moony, is yes, I do. I felt like I had to keep it a secret, you know. I felt like it was wrong. I'm sorry, I didn't think it would affect you that way. I'm really sorry, Moony, but yes, I do love you with all my heart," Sirius told Remus as he walked out of bed over to Remus. He looked and saw the boy he realized he loved was asleep. Son of a bitch. He poured out his heart to no one. Had Remus heard what Sirius just said? Did it mean anything to Remus? Bitch, he just almost drowned. Let him rest. Madame Pomfrey walked in, seeing Sirius was awake. She saw tears glistening in his eyes as he gazed at Remus. "Sirius, what's wrong?" she asked the boy. Nothing. It's nothing. I'm just worried, that's all," Remus replied quickly, wiping away his tears. "He'll be fine. He's actually just really cold still. You both will be released as soon as your body temperatures are back to normal," she smiled, trying to comfort Sirius. "Okay. That's really good to hear. I'm glad he's okay. Can I go with him, though?" Sirius asked, holding Remus's ice-cold hand. Madame Pomfrey chuckled softly. "Of course." The lady then left the room slowly, looking back a few times. When Remus had left, he rested his nose against Remus. "Do you care? Do you love me, Remus?" "I love you, but you never said I love you too," Sirius told the other boy. Sirius sobbed, a waterfall of tears running down his cheeks. Suddenly, a whisper of 4 words left Remus's mouth, but Sirius couldn't understand what the male had just said. It hammered Sirius's mind. What had Remus just said? Something horrible? Something heartwarming? Remus's hand interlocked with Sirius's. Sirius's eyes widened, and he gasped softly. How? Remus was out cold. Sirius was this word left Remus's mouth softly. Sirius gulped. What is it? The boy, once again, didn't say another word. Sirius just wanted Remus to talk to him so badly. He just wanted those words to leave his mouth. I love you too. But Sirius doubted that would happen. Chapter 8. How many chapters are there? Holy crap. Oh. Yeah, 2 after this one. Sirius fell asleep next to the boy. His cheeks were soaked with tears. James went to visit them that afternoon after lunch. He saw them still asleep, Sirius next to Remus, cheeks wet. James wandered over to the boys. Hi, Sirius. Are you okay? Is Remus okay? He asked quietly, yet hoping to wake poor Sirius up. He had to admit, pranking with Peter wasn't all that fun. Sirius blinked to open his eyes. He had been awake for the past 15 minutes, yet he hadn't wanted to be. His throat ached from crying. To answer James' question, he nodded. James noticed that Sirius was still crying slightly. You love him, don't you? He asked, as he pulled Sirius away from the unconscious boy. Yes, but I don't know if Remus feels the same way. It hurts, James. Can you make it better? Sirius began crying, even more tears puddling the floor. At first, James didn't know what Sirius was talking about, but then he got it. James nodded. I will help you, Sirius. Don't worry. I'm sure you won't have to wait long till Remus wakes up. After dinner, Remus woke up while James was in the infirmary with Sirius helping him. Sirius slowly walked over to Remus, and James left the room. I love you, Remus. Do you, too? Remus sat there, silent. The sound of the clock ticking echoed the room. Remus didn't respond. He was scared to answer. Remus gulped and bit his lip, looking down. Sirius teared up. You don't, do you? Sirius dashed out of the room, breaking down. Sirius gripped onto his shirt, clutching his dying heart. Why? Sirius cried out. Did Remus love Sirius or not? I'm sorry, there's an ad. Go away, ad. Please go away. Okay. Chapter 9, Sirius x Remus. Remus followed the sobbing boy out of the infirmary. He saw Sirius on his knees, his shoulders trembling. His sobs echoed through the night sky and all around them. Sirius! Remus called out as he ran down the dusty stairs, on the leaf-covered ground. He went to the smaller boy. Wait, I thought Remus was more small in stature. Maybe not. Sirius flinched. Sorry, we were talking about Remus. He didn't want to be seen, not by the boy who hated him. He had just admitted that he loved him, so it was a wonder that Remus had followed. James came rushing out the doors behind Remus. He grasped Sirius firmly. "Sirius, it's okay." He tried being gentle, but Sirius pushed him away with surprising strength. Sirius stood up and took off toward the forbidden forest, disappearing among the darkness. Remus, not bothering to try and catch up with the boy, he knew he wouldn't catch up, so he waited. "If you care, Remus, if you love him, which I know you do, you're scared. Run after him till your last breath. Take him under your gentle grasp and comfort him if you can. Just try and say, 'I love you.' Then Sirius will be fine, because he loves you too, lot." Remus gulped. He was terrified. He sprinted off into the forest, the bitter air numbing his lungs. Remus coughed violently, but didn't stop. His eyes rapidly ran across the vast land. He then saw a crying boy leaning against a willow tree. Remus slowly walked over and saw it was Sirius. Gradually, Remus put his shuddering hand onto Sirius's shoulder. Sirius jerked and gasped wildly. "It's okay. It's only me," Remus whispered to him. Remus sat down next to the other male. "Why would you run that far and try to find me? Why would you care? You hate me." Remus sighed and stared at Sirius' dull eyes. Their fingers intertwined. Remus leaned against Sirius. "I don't hate you. Remus stuttered and couldn't say the last two words. He wanted to, but those words couldn't seem to leave his mouth. He needed Sirius to be happy. Then he will say it. Sirius just sat there, but then he looked up into Remus's eyes. The tears then left his eyes. He stopped shaking, and a faint little smile grew on his face. Chapter 10. Sirius smiled faintly. James ran up behind Remus, having taken after the two boys. After a couple of minutes, he saw them and Sirius's smile. "Remus, did you say it?" he said quietly. "No, I can't. I don't know why, but I can't. I don't want to say it, just to find out that it is unreciprocated." Sorry. Remus answered, looking down. Sirius blanked. Remus couldn't say it? That made no sense. "Remus, do you? Or do you not love me?" I asked the taller boy. He asked the taller boy, worried. "Sirius!" "Oh, Sirius!" Remus began. "I don't know. Okay, I just feel it's wrong, but it feels right at the same time." Remus began to sound anguished, and tears began to form in his eyes. "It feels right?" Sirius asked. "What does? Me being in love with you." Remus's tears began to fall slowly. Sirius sighed. "You're afraid I don't English is not my first language. Reciprocate it. Sorry. I have to sound it out because long words like that, tongue twister for me. And you think I'm going to hate you? His eyes widened. He pulled Remus into him as the other boy began crying quietly. What is James doing in all of this? Just being like, gotta take a video of this and put it on YouTube. That's right, electronics doesn't work in there. Forgot. And they don't have electronics. Duh. Okay, where was I? Sirius lifted Remus's face and pressed their lips together gently, yet with a tenderness Remus wasn't aware as was possible from a punk rock kid. Remus, I will love you forever, with all my heart, Sirius stated after he pulled away reluctantly. Remus nodded. He could tell. I love you too, Sirius, I really do. This time, Remus pulled Sirius into a kiss, and James smiled. Be good to each other, you two. He smirked and turned and left the two lovers. What they did is put lowers. I mean, same. When you hate English so much, that's what you do with each other. The next day at school, Remus and Sirius walked down the hall, their hands intertwined. Remus's head rested on Sirius's shoulder. They got a few glances, but everyone else smiled at them quite kindly. Quite kindly. James ran over to them, whistling playfully. The two lovebirds. You two are so cute. The two boys blushed a dark red and looked away in embarrassment, but giggled softly. They planted their lips to each other's, then walked to their next class. I love you, Sirius. Remus gazed at Sirius. I love you too, Remus. The other boy ruffled Remus's hair. That was it. They were both happy and in love. Okay, it's the end of the story. Hope you liked it. It's really short, and I really liked that. Because it was kind of cute. Oh wow, it's been that long. Well, it's a good portion of the video. Well, guys, thank you for watching. Be happy, actually, like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't yet. Put on push notifications so you're always notified every time I post. Okay, guys, bye-bye. Love you guys so much.